All right, so let's talk the latest draconian law in Uganda against the LGBT plus community. So, let's just get right to the article. Uganda's president signed one of the world's toughest anti-LGBTQ laws, including the death penalty for aggravated homosexuality, drawing Western condemnation and risking sanctions from aid donors. Same-sex relations were already illegal in Uganda, as in more than 30 African countries, but the new law goes further. Oh great, how can it go further? It stipulates capital punishments for serial offenders against the law and transmission of a terminal illness like HIV/AIDS through gay sex. It also decrees a 20-year sentence for promoting homosexuality. Okay, now I assume serial offenders means, gay men who didn't learn the first time that having gay sex is going to get you a prison term. I'm assuming that's what a serial offender is. So basically, if a gay married couple were to go to Uganda and perish the thought, have marital relations, then that would be a serial offense, I guess. Okay, now the fact that the transmission of illnesses like HIV/AIDS through sex. Now, that depends. If the person knowingly has sex with someone for the express purpose of getting them sick, then yeah, by all means, that should be illegal. They should get their asses kicked for that. Absolutely. But if you don't know, and what if you're on PrEP? I mean, then you're not transmitting it, but you're a serial offender just for having sex. So I don't know why they even have the law about transmission of a terminal illness through gay sex, since you already have decided gay sex is punishable by, I don't know, how many years in prison. So yeah. And as for promoting homosexuality, what the hell does that mean? Is this the same old canard that being gay is a choice, and that the only way you can make more gay people is if you try to entice people, especially children, into being interested in becoming gay, which anybody with half a brain and who isn't a bigoted asshole knows that's not true. I've used this example many, many times in my videos and other places on social media. I grew up being surrounded by straight people and straight couples, and I'm still asexual. So, no, that isn't how any of this works. I mean, unless you're claiming that seeing straight people everywhere and straight couples somehow is not promoting that lifestyle. But if you're not straight, somehow that is promotion. Because, we can't be we can't be consistent or anything. Anyway, back to the article. The Ugandan president has today legalized state-sponsored homophobia and transphobia, said a Ugandan rights activist. Yes, I'm trying to avoid saying these names. I know I'm going to butcher them, so I'm just going to avoid saying them. I don't know. It sounds like, from the first paragraph, it sounds like they already did that. I'm still unsure since homosexuality was already illegal, what what was the enhancer? That's what I'd like to know. Okay, this is from Reuters Graphics on Twitter. On March 21st, Uganda's parliament passed a law that would criminalize identifying as LGBTQ. Uganda is among 32 nations in Africa that ban same-sex relationships, according to ILGA World data. Punishments range from imprisonment to the death penalty, which is just awesome. So, President Joe Biden called the move a tragic violation of human rights and said Washington would evaluate the implications of the law on all aspects of U.S. engagement with Uganda, which is good. And unfortunately, Uganda cannot afford to lose that support, but because they're not exactly a rich country, but you know, if you're going to be asshats and terrorize a group of people just for simply existing, then yeah, absolutely. We are considering additional steps, including the application of sanctions and restrictions of entry into the United States against anyone involved in serious human rights abuses or corruption. Sounds good to me. A presidency photo of Museveni showed the Ugandan president, showed him signing the law with a golden pen at his desk. Yeah, because nothing says I identify with the people than a golden pen. The 78-year-old has called homosexuality a deviation from normal. Technically true, and urged lawmakers to resist imperialist pressure. Okay, so technically that's true if you use the definition of normal as in common. So then, yes, that is a deviation. Not in the sense that it's bad, but yeah. Yeah, most people are straight. That is true. So, technically true. Now, as for imperialist pressure, okay. It's not like homosexuality is a Western idea. No. Homosexuals exist everywhere. It's just asshats like you who, don't want to see that, who decide that it was an idea that was brought by the Imperials. And yeah, you guys kind of need that aid. So if there are sanctions against you, that's just going to screw up your country more than it already is. So how do you plan on resisting it exactly? It's not like the US is saying everyone in Uganda should be gay. It's saying that people who are gay have the right to exist. And even if it was a choice, which it's not, they have the right to choose that. I mean, consenting adults. But it's not a choice. So, who you're attracted, and that's just the thing that bugs me so much, and how I talk to people who whine about, promotion of homosexuality. So, you're saying it's a choice. So, you're saying you could choose to be attracted to a member of the same sex. Oh, what, you can't because you're just not naturally attracted? Well, gee, maybe maybe attraction isn't a choice. People tend to not think like that. They just spout off whatever is a talking point and don't bother to engage their brain. Because no, attraction is not a choice. I did not choose to become asexual. I just am asexual. That's just the way it is. I don't know how else to explain it. I mean, some people look at someone of the opposite sex and that turns them on. Some people look at someone of the same sex and that turns them on. And then there are people like me who nobody does. Then we have bi and pansexuals that, more than one type of person is going to turn them on. And by type, I mean gender. So I fail to see where the choice is in all this, especially those who happen to be gay. No, I'm pretty sure they didn't choose to go into a lifestyle that's going to be putting them in harm's way like that. Generally, people don't do that. Anyway, continuing on. A local organization, Human Rights Awareness and Promotion Forum, and 10 other individuals later filed a complaint against the law at the Constitutional Court. One of the petitioners told Reuters. Museveni had sent the original bill passed in March back, asking Parliament to tone down some provisions, but his ultimate approval was not seen as in doubt in a conservative country where anti-LGBTQ attitudes have hardened in recent years, in part due to campaigning by Western evangelical church groups. What a shock. I never knew that they were doing that. Yes, that's been a campaign for a while now. It's not a secret that the religious nut jobs have gone to Africa and told them to be religious nut jobs. Uganda receives billions of dollars in foreign aid each year and could now face adverse measures from donors and investors, as happened with a similar bill 9 years ago. Okay, let's keep going. The bill's sponsor told reporters that Parliament Speaker Anita Among's U.S. visa was canceled after the law was signed. The U.S. Embassy in Uganda did not immediately respond to requests for comment. Okay, doesn't say why her visa was canceled. Oh, I see. Her U.S. visa. Okay. I misread that. All right. Stupid allergies. In a joint statement, the U.S. flagship HIV/AIDS program, PEPFAR, the Global Funds to Fight AIDS, Tuberculosis, and Malaria, and the Joint United Nations Program on HIV/AIDS, or UNAIDS, said the law put Uganda's anti-HIV fight in grave jeopardy. Yeah. I mean, nobody's going to want to get treated for AIDS if that's going to get them thrown in jail. Duh. They'd rather, die a slow death or fast death, whatever, than deal with the jail. Anyway, Dominic Arnold, chief executive for Open for Business, a coalition of companies that includes Google and Microsoft, said the group was deeply disappointed and the law ran counter to Uganda's economic interests. Yeah, well, when it comes to religion, people don't think about other interests. They think their religion is the end all be all of how to human. And that far outweighs anything else. The UN human rights body declared itself appalled. Uganda's move could encourage lawmakers in neighboring Kenya and Tanzania seeking similar measures. Oh, that's great. What a leader we've in Africa. What is with this horrible English? Come on, Reuters. What a leader we have in Africa, tweeted George Kaluma, a Kenyan member of parliament who submitted an anti-LGBTQ bill in April. Kenya is following you in this endeavor to save humanity. Oh, good. Another person with a God complex. No, you're not saving humanity, sweetheart. You're trying to destroy humanity. Because you think that there's only one way to human, and it's your way. No, that's not how humanity works. The inclusion of the death penalty for offenses like transmitting HIV has drawn particular outrage internationally. Now, again, if they intentionally infect someone, I'm all for a punishment. Now, people who are familiar with my channel know I'm not pro-death penalty, but if, I'm not going to say that they shouldn't be punished for infecting someone else, because I'm going to say, because of the criminalization of homosexuality, people probably aren't using PrEP. So if you have HIV, you basically have to be celibate. So, but if you knowingly transmit it, yeah, I have no problem with that. However, well, I have no problem with being punished. I don't know about the death penalty. But somehow, because it's drawn outrage, I'm going to say that it's not going to be an intentional act. That this is going to be, even if, I don't know how well PrEP works. So maybe you just were unaware that you had HIV and transmitted it. Obviously, that person shouldn't be punished for not knowing their own status. So, existing Ugandan law calls for a maximum 10-year sentence for intentionally transmitting HIV, which is fine, and does not apply when the person who contracted the infection was aware of their sexual partner's status. Wait, what? Oh, I see. If they were aware that the person had HIV and they still slept with them and got HIV, then yeah, that sounds fine. I mean, if you're willing to risk that, go for it. It's your life. By contrast, the new law makes no distinction between intentional and unintentional transmission. Yeah, I kind of figured. And contains no exception based on awareness of HIV status. So, if someone who doesn't know they're HIV positive infects someone else, then that's no different than if you knew that you were HIV positive and tricked someone into having sex with you. Cool. Yeah, that's not draconian at all. No, not at all. The amended version of the bill, adopted earlier this month after Museveni returned it to Parliament, stipulated that merely identifying as LGBTQ is not a crime and revised a measure that obliged people to report homosexual activity to only require reporting when a child is involved. Well, I guess that's an improvement, but when are children involved? I mean, are you saying that minors who, see, a minor boy who sees a cute boy and, hangs out with him, and that they end up dating, that's what they mean? Or do they think it's some NAMBLA shit? I hope it's the former, because yeah, that's just no. No. I mean gay kids will then have to wait till they're 18 to even attempt to have a relationship. Teenage years suck as it is. To be forced to not do what you want, that would suck so much more. All right. LGBTQ Ugandans called those changes useless, saying law enforcement regularly exceeds its legal authorities to harass them. They said passage of the bill in March unleashed a wave of arrests, evictions, and mob attacks. Well, yeah. The issue has been a long-running one in Uganda. A less restrictive 2014 anti-LGBTQ law was struck down by a Uganda court on procedural grounds after Western governments had initially suspended some aid, imposed visa restrictions, and curtailed security cooperation. In 2009, a bill dubbed Kill the Gays. Yeah, I remember that. It's been that long? Jesus Christ. For initially proposing executing homosexuals was introduced after a conference in Kampala drew representatives from the United States, including prominent anti-gay evangelist Scott Lively. I am so sorry that he's an export. Ugh. As well as religious campaigning, Africa's anti-LGBTQ attitudes also have their roots in the colonial era, including an anti-sodomy section of Britain's penal code. By the time the UK legalized same-sex acts in 1967, many former colonies were independent and did not inherit the legal change. So, their attitudes come from imperialist nations, but now that people are more enlightened, those same people are trying to claim that they don't want to be pressured by imperialists, when it was the colonials that gave them these ideas to begin with. Yeah, that makes total sense. Does anybody have logic left in them? Oh my God. To reduce any kind of human being is irrespective of sexuality to a death sentence based on who they identify as and how they choose to live their lives is something that we should all feel very ashamed about as a continent, said South African filmmaker Lorado. We can liken this to apartheid, if not worse. So that's the end of that article, but that's just, if you live in Uganda and you identify as LGBTQ plus, I hope that there are resources for you to still get whatever help you can, or if you have the resources, get the hell out of that country. You'd be better off literally anywhere. So, well, I shouldn't say literally anywhere, because we already discussed there are other countries in Africa that criminalize homosexuality and like this new law. So, but yeah, most places it's you'd be better off. Hell, you'd be better off in Jordan. They actually do not. I mean, homophobia is strong there, but my understanding is there are no anti-LGBTQ laws there. They're actually quite cool about homosexuality there. So, I'm just thinking of something relatively close by, like a continent away. But yeah, I really hope that if you live in Uganda, you stay safe, because this is just this is just dark ages shit. It's just horrible to do that to a group of people simply for existing, because you're uncomfortable with the fact that someone who isn't like you exists in the world. And the fact that there's so many Ugandans that seem to think that homosexuality is bad because religion. There are plenty of Christian denominations who are not hateful to same-sex relationships. So, yeah. Yeah, this is not a religion thing. You're just hiding behind religion to be hateful. You're not actually practicing your religion, because if you were, then there wouldn't be these varied interpretations of it. And there wouldn't be some who are hateful asses and some who are enlightened. That's not how this works. So, yeah, I really don't know what else to say about this, just that I hope that the pressure that is applied will work. And it should, because like I said, Uganda gets a lot of aid, outside aid, and I can't imagine that they'll survive very long without it. So, I'm going to quit rambling, and I will see you in the next video.